So good morning everyone. We will start our today's session. In previous lecture, we have covered the topics HTML 5.0 overview, HTML 5.0 new features, HTML5 basic syntax. Then, with the help of one example, we have learned how to code the document structure by using HTML5 syntax. So these topics we covered in the last session. In this session, we will learn about attributes, HTML5 events, and yes. Everyone is visible to this slide?
Yes, ma'am. आता होते, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In this session, we will learn about HTML5 attributes, HTML5 events, and about HTML5 web forms 2.0. So let us start with HTML5 attributes. So why do we use attributes? How we can specify attributes in HTML coding? The use of attributes is to set the various properties of an element. So whenever you are adding an element in the HTML document, in the start tag, you can specify the attribute. An attribute requires to specify the value. So why these attributes we use? We use to set the properties. So various attributes are there that we can use, that we are going to learn. Some attributes can be defined globally, and some attributes are specific to the elements only. So global attributes means what? They can be used on any, but there are some attributes that we can use specifically for some elements only. Attributes like ID, class, these we can use only, these we can use for any element. But the attributes such as say charset, href,
मैम स्लाइड शो नहीं होते.
स्लाइड शो नहीं होते. लेट मी शेअर वन्स अगेन.
मॅम मला पण दिसते.
सो why others are not able to see?
दिसत नाही मॅडम.
Yes, दिसत नाही. Let me share once again. Now everyone is able to see the slides?
No,
Yes?
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
नो मॅम.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Let me share once again. Once again I will share. Just wait. Now everyone is able to see? Yes?
No, ma'am. No.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I hope everyone is able to see. Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes. Now
No,
everyone is
ma'am.
able to see.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I don't know why you were able. Why you were saying that? I'm sharing it again and again. Okay, let me share it once again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
See, when I am not sharing that time, you are saying that it is able to see, and now I don't know whether you are able to see or not. Yes, now
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
now
ma'am.
you are able to see.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, now
Yes, ma'am.
you do not change your settings so that you will not be able to have any difficulty to continue. Just see to your screen and watch that whatever is going on. Okay. Now just do not disturb your settings either on your mobile or on your laptop or computer. Okay. Should I continue? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, some attributes can be defined globally, but some are specific to the elements. So global attributes means that we can specify to any element, such as ID, class, type. These are specifically used for any element, but some attributes are particularly used with the specific elements, such as we have char set attribute, we have SRC attribute, we have a href attribute. So these are specifically used with these specific elements only. So here is one line on this slide that you can see, which is giving the example of HTML5 attributes. So here the element used is P. So this is used for paragraph. So to P element, paragraph element, here the attribute is class, and class is equal to theory. So the attribute class here is a global attribute, and the value to that attribute's theory is specified. Means something that you are writing here in the paragraph, the content within the paragraph may be related to a theory class, and therefore here this is the attribute used called as class, and its value is user defined, which is set to theory. Normally, where do we specify the attributes? We specify attributes within the star tags. We cannot specify the attributes in end tag. Now, HTML5 attributes are case insensitive. You may write the HTML5 attributes in uppercase, in lowercase, or in mixed case. But though it is, normally we write the attributes in lowercase. That is the normal convention, and the people are making use of lowercase letters to specify the attributes. So this is about the overview of the attributes. Now, in the next slide, we are going to learn more about the attributes. So here, this particular slide shows some list of the standard attributes. So such as that access key is one of the attribute that we can use as a standard attribute, means as a global attribute. So access key, the value will be user defined. What is use of attribute access key? It allows us to specify a keyboard shortcut to access an element. So for example, we make use of the shortcuts such as Alt F, Alt S, Alt G, like that. So these are the keyboard shortcuts that normally also we use for the different menus. So that type of the keyboard shortcuts, if you wish to specify to the particular element in the form, you can do it by making use of attribute called as access key. Then we have the attribute align. So align will have the values, align is equal to right or left or center. So it allows us to horizontally align the tags. Okay. Then background. So to background attribute, you can specify URL. If you want that behind an particular element or behind the complete body, if you want to specify some image as a background, you can make use of attribute called as background. Background is equal to path of that particular image that you wish that it should appear as a background image behind the element. Then you have an attribute called as bg color. So its value can be numeric, hexadecimal, or RGB value. So it places the background color behind the element. Then again, the attribute class that we just have seen, its value will be user defined. So you can make use of this particular value in the CSS when you want to refer to that particular element. We will see it how to make use of this class attribute and its value in the CSS when we are going to learn in more detail about the style sheets. Then one another attribute called as content editable. So if you specify content editable is equal to true, then the user is allowed to edit the content of that element. But if you set content editable equal to false, you cannot edit the content of that particular element. Then we have a context menu. So menu ID you can specify. So to that particular element, you can specify as a option for the menu. Then this is the custom attribute. See, there is a separate side on this particular attribute called as the custom attribute. So these custom attributes are added in HTML5. So this is a new feature of HTML5 that you can create the custom attributes. Custom attribute starts with data dash. The attribute name starts with data dash, followed by some word that you can specify by your own. So that will become a attribute that you have designed by your own. So its value will be user defined. So these are the custom attributes, and author of the HTML can define the own attributes, and it starts with data dash. Then we have the another attribute called as draggable. So the possible values for draggable are true, false, or auto. So it specifies that whether or not user is allowed to drag the element on the web page. If you want that user should not drag this particular element from one place to another, you should set it as draggable is equal to false. But if you want true, then you can specify draggable is equal to true. If you want it should automatically happen as you resizes the window of the web page, you specify auto as the value to the draggable attribute. So these are some standard attributes. Again, there is very big list for HTML5 standard attributes. We will go through that particular standard attributes fastly. So one is height. So height of the element, what you want, if you want to specify, such as normally we make use of this height attribute when we are specifying the height of the image or height of the table or height of the table cells. Then hidden is again a standard attribute. If you specify this is actually the Boolean attribute. Means there is no need to specify value to this attribute hidden. So if you make use of this attribute hidden, means it is true because it is Boolean. So its presence is true and its absence is false. So if you specify hidden, then that particular element will not be visible to the user. Some elements, if you want to be hidden from the user, such as if suppose you want to count the number of the users when the users are filling the form. So that count you may wish to hide from the user. So that particular control on the form you can hide from the user. So hidden. Then this is mostly used attribute called as ID. Its value is user defined. So you can name the element. If you want to access to a particular element either in the cascading style sheet or in the JavaScript, you have to give name to the element. So that can be specified by using ID. So ID is equal to some value, user defined value. So it will name the element that can be used in the cascading style sheets or in the JavaScript. Then after that, the another attribute item. So list of elements can be specified which are used to group the elements. So like this, these actually are specifically used in the form. So spell check, true, false. So if you want that your element must have a spelling or grammar check by default, then you can make use of true. Spell check is equal to false. So then again style attribute. So if you want to specify the inline style for the element, then you can make use of style attribute. So style, and in that you can specify rule of the style sheet. So if you want to specify any designing rule such as related to the font color or related to the font style, or if you want to specify some rule which is regarding placement of that particular element, such as you want border, you want to set border style, you want to set padding, so that you can set by using this style. Then subject is the attribute. So to that subject, user defined ID you can specify. So it specifies the elements corresponding item. Then tab index, it is again one of the important attributes that normally we make use in the forms element. So when you do not have your mouse working properly, what we do, we make use of tab to shift from one control to the another control. So when you specify tab on your web page, from which control to which control you want to go, so that is the tab order. So that tab order you can specify by using this tab index. So tab index is equal to the tab number, that will be what the value that you can specify. Then title to the element, you can give a title. So this is again user defined. So when you are moving cursor on that particular element, so a pop-up will occur. So that will be the title. Then realign. So v-align is equal to top, middle, bottom. So it aligns the tags vertically within an HTML element. Then like a height, we have a width attribute. So its value will be numerical value. So you can specify the width of the table, images or tables. So like that, you can make use of these particular attributes. Then as I explained about the custom data attribute in the earlier slide, here see on this separate slide, you can find that how do you can make use of the custom data attribute. It starts with data dash. So example of the use of custom attribute is specified here. Here the element is P, class is equal to same CA, and here are the two attributes we have created by our own. Data dash elective. So this elective is the attribute that we have created by our own. So data dash elective is equal to say music. Data dash pattern is equal to say CBCS. Okay. So this way you can specify the user defined attributes like data dash elective and data dash pattern. So elective and pattern are the attributes that we have designed. So these particular values of the attributes you can obtain by using JavaScript APIs or CSS, and based on that you can extract the things from the web page. For example, if you want to extract those paragraphs from your web pages for which is equal to music, so what you can do, you can write a JavaScript or you can write any script, and in that what you can do, you can search for the attribute whose value is equal to music, and then you can extract only that text which is specified in that paragraph. So like that, for doing the programming purposes, you can make use of these attribute values. So like this, one can do programming with the help of these particular attribute value. So this is all about HTML attributes. And now next to that, we are going to discuss about HTML5 events. So what are events means? First, I try to understand that. So what are events? When user visits to a web page, then after that, user can perform various activities, such as user can click somewhere, user can resize the window, user can print that particular page. Okay? Then you can select a particular area from the page like that. So different activities the user can perform, on a web page. So all these activities are nothing but the events that are occurred. So those are what called as events. Now if you want that something you should want to perform when a user is performing a particular activity. So that is what event handling, that is what called as event handling. For example, if a user goes on a particular element, so on move to that element, what you want to do, that you can write in the code, and for that coding purpose you can make use of any scripting language. You can make use of client-side scripting if you wish to perform it at the client side, such as JavaScript or VB script, or you can make use of the server-side scripting. and you can write event handlers. You can write event handlers. So in that, you have to write the code that you want to execute when that event occurs. So those are what the event handlers that you can write by using client-side scripts or by using server-side script. So what are the different events that can occur? So those events can be like this, or the attributes for the event handlers that you can use while handling the events are such as that. The first is offline. So when this particular event get triggered, so it triggers when the document goes offline. If suppose user is watching some web page online, and if suddenly if that document goes offline, so if you wish to give some message over there after having that particular page offline, you can put it over there so that user can understand. Then on abort, this is one of the event attribute. So triggers on an abort event. On after print, so it triggers after the document is printed. On before onload, so this triggers before the document loads. So some message you can put over there that before loading, just you can put wait that the document is coming, like that. Some messages you can display over there. On before print, on blur. So when the window loses the focus, at that time you can display something. So you can trigger one particular you can or this event when get triggered, you can call some function, you can call some trigger. You can call some script, and in that you may write some function that will be called when this is triggered on blur. Similarly, on can play through, on change, on click. This is normally used that on click of a button, something is get happen. So some script is get executed when you are clicking on a particular button. So that means normally used on click. Then on context menu, on double click, on drag end, on drag enter, on drag leave, on drag over, on drag start, on drop. So like that, there are several attributes that you can use for the event handling. Then again, we have on focus. This is also normally we use. On error, we can use that if suppose some error occurs, at that time you want to call some function, so you can make use of that trigger. Then next to that, we have many other attributes for that, such as on online, on play, on pause, then on redo, on resize, on progress, so on playing. So like that, we have the different attributes that we may use, and we can call a particular event handler, and we can perform the function from written script. We'll see with the help of some example in our upcoming lectures that how do you can write a function based on this event handling. So one JavaScript function I will demonstrate you most probably in the next lecture. Now, next to that, the next topic that we are going to learn in this session is about HTML5 Web Forms 2.0. So what are these HTML5 Web Forms 2.0? So it is the extension to HTML4 forms. Some of you or most of you, I know that you have done HTML programming, you know it. So you might have designed forms, HTML4 forms. In that normally, or at least you might have filled some forms, like in this semester also, you have filled some forms, such as for choosing the elective subject or for getting admission to the particular course. What we do, we require to fill up a particular form, and that form allows us to input the data from our side, and that data is get stored on the server side, such as we normally enter our name, address, phone number, email address, age, birth date, our gender, then to what course you want to take admission, or which courses you want to select as elective courses, or if you are filling the examination form, then to which semester you want to appear for the examination, what are the subjects that you have to choose to appear for the exams, like that. Many different forms we use to fill, and you have seen the forms. So in this particular topic, we will learn how do we can design HTML forms. So first of all, we will learn those controls that are available in HTML4. Then we will discuss which new features are added in HTML5 and they are added for the better support, which will be with respect to the current age of online things, such as when we want to make use of the application on mobiles, on the smart devices. So for that purpose, some new features are added in the forms. So controls are added in the forms. So what different controls are already available? So we have the controls such as text input. So it can be single line or it can be multi-line text box that we can put as a control on the form. We can put buttons. Then we have a radio buttons. We have a check boxes. We have a special buttons like submit button, then reset button. Then we can put list such as a single and multi-select list. Then you can add menus as a control in your form. So like that, the different controls are made available that we can use in HTML4, and the same we can also use in HTML5. But along with that, some new features are added for the better support, and controls for that are such as to the type attribute, you can specify value is equal to URL, number, email, date, time, and range. So these are the new controls which are made available. What are the uses of these particular new controls that we are going to learn with the help of example in this lecture or in next lecture. Then some new attributes are added in HTML5 that you can use while creating the HTML forms. And those attributes are such as placeholder, autofocus, and required. So these particular attributes make our job simpler. So in earlier version of HTML4, when you want that a particular uh, field on the form, if you want that a user should compulsory fill, such as if you wish that email address should be compulsory filled by the user. So for that purpose, in earlier version, it is required to write the JavaScript. And in the JavaScript, it is needful to check whether the user have entered some value or not. If user do not have entered the value into that email address text box, then at that time, you have to write a code that one will give output as output to the user as that you should fill your email address. It is compulsory field, but that job is simply done just by putting the attribute called as required in HTML5. So it made very simpler for us to do the programming. Again, for putting email address, a special control is supported, such as email. If you are inputting wrong email, then it will pop up just error that you do not have entered correct email. Means if suppose you are not inputting the @ symbol while entering into that email address control, it will just give you error. So like that, the new controls are supported by this HTML 5.0. So this way, the waveforms 2.0 is the extension to the HTML4 forms. Now, today we will do one example, and by using that we will design a form, so that we will get idea that how the basic controls which are supported by HTML4 that you can use and you can design your own form. So I hope everyone you might have understood up to this. Yes? Anyone can give answer?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes?
ma'am.
Have you understood
Yes, ma'am.
about HTML attributes, HTML events, and the basics regarding web forms 2.0? Now let us perform the practical based on this by using the Notepad++. So let me open Notepad. I will end this show and let me open the notepad. Everyone is able to see this notepad? Yes, or it is required to share?
No.
No?
No,
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
so I will share it. Just wait. Just wait. Yes, now everyone is able to see notepad.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yes? No? Just
Yes,
wait
ma'am.
for
Yes.
some seconds.
Yes,
It will come.
Yes, ma'am.
Due to network, maybe it might be coming after some seconds. So just wait for 2 seconds. Yes, everybody is able to see the notepad window.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So let us start creating a form. So the first line of the HTML document is DOC type. You know. So DOC type HTML. Close that declaration line. Then add HTML. Close that HTML. And in that add head section. Close head section. Add body section, close body section. And first of all, let us save it. So we have to save it by .htm or .html. So I will save it, say on desktop. So form example, save it on desktop. Okay. And then here head meta element that we commonly use to specify the char set information to UTF-8. Close meta element. Give title to the form such as enroll to the course of music. For example, we are creating a form, and by using that you can enroll to a course related to, say, music. So here we have added a title, and in body tag we will start designing the form. So first of all, we will put a header section. In header section, just give a heading such as welcome to the course of learning music. So just close H1 tag, just close P tag. Okay, now just see that whether output is able to see in Firefox. This basic output. What you do when you are doing any designing page, just put simple code and then try to see it in the web browser so that it will to come whether it is working or not. So heading is title is coming to that, and then welcome to the course of learning music. So this way we can observe the output in the browser. And then once again, here the notepad. So in notepad, just put a form. I will put here one message, or not in the header. So I may write a section for that. And in the section, just put a form. So fill form to enroll the course. This you can write in heading also, as it is heading. So H3 suppose, and here you close that header tag H3. And now here we will design a form. So form, name of the form, suppose music. And two important attributes are there that we have to use for the form element. One is the action attribute. So action will be the name of the script that you want that it should be executed when you are submitting the form, when you are clicking on the submit button of the form. So action is equal to, say, entry or add entry dot, say, Python or say PHP. If suppose I am calling, say, PHP script, PHP, add entry PHP. And another attribute is method. So value to the method attributes are get or post. So here I will make use of get method. So what is difference between get and post, that I will demonstrate to you. But here you just remember that for the form element, the two attributes are most important. One is action and another one is method. So for action attribute, the value will be the name of that script that you want to execute when a user is submitting the form. And method is equal to get. So what is the use of this get method? That whatever the data that you have filled on the form, that will be submitted to the server side by the get method. So it will take the data by get method. So due to get method on the browser's URL, you can see that data. I will show you practically. And the other one is method is equal to post. Means whatever the data that is get transferred from client to the server, that will not be shown as a key value pairs to the browser's window. That difference we will see today when we are going to execute the form. So let us save the form and close the form over here. And now just put some controls. So first of all, let me put a label. So this label is one of the important element that you can use in the form. And what is the use of this label? You can put some label to the control by using this label element. So label, I am writing for, say, name. So for is the attribute that you can use for the label. Label is equal to for. You can give ID to the label also if you want to extract it somewhere in the JavaScript or somewhere in the CSS file. So label for name, suppose, and here I will put enter your name, colon, and close the label. And then after that, put the text control. So input type is equal to text. So input type is equal to text will allow you to put the text box. Similarly, for this input element, the type can have value. Type is equal to password. So if you make use of password here, whatever the text that you are typing will either be translated to the field small circles or to the star. As when you are entering password, then that password we cannot see the letters. That is get transferred or converted to the special characters such as star or some small field circle. So like that, if you put input type is equal to password, then that password field will be created. Or you can have input type is equal to, you can have either this value as to the password or to the text, or you can have hidden. So if you specify hidden, then that particular will not appear in the form. So that will be hidden. So this way we'll put over here the text box. So input type is equal to text. And then after that, we'll give name to the control. Suppose name to the control I am giving as full name. Here full name. So input type name is equal to full name. I can give ID so that I can use it in the JavaScript. So ID, again, I can repeat the same, that's full name. And here you just enter, you just close the input tag. So input type is equal to text, name is equal to full name, ID is equal to full name that we have specified. Again, you can specify size also. If you want that the size of the input text box should be this, that if you want to specify that, you can add it. Again, if you want by default some value should appear, then that also you can put over there. So like that you can add. And then after this, I will just make a break row so that on the next line, the next control will go. So after that, suppose I will put the next control label. So label for, say, I wish to put now address. So label for address. And here I will write enter your postal address. Okay, and close here label. Now for putting address, suppose I want to put a text area which will have some rows and columns. So for that, let make use of the text area. So text area, and for text area, which attributes I have to use? So I can specify there the ID. I can specify there the ID. I can specify name to that, and I can specify most importantly rows and columns as the attribute. So give name to the text area such as name, suppose say address, and then I can give say ID. Again ID is equal to say address, and here how many rows I want? Suppose in 4 rows I can put my address, and columns, suppose I wish that columns should be say 50. So put the address over here. And what I want, that by default some text should appear in that text area. So like please fill address, or please add address here, like that, and then close the text area, and then close the text area. After that, just take a break row, and then just make use of the radio buttons. So how do you can make use of radio buttons? So for putting radio buttons, I have to make use of the control called as radio. Before that, just put a label. Label for is equal to gender. Okay, enter or select your gender here, and close the label. And then here we'll be now inserting the radio button. So for that, make use of input type is equal to radio. Input type is equal to radio, and then name to that radio button. Suppose I am giving as a gender, and then ID is equal to gender, and then value. Suppose for the first button I want value, suppose say female, and then here female, and then after that this example here, and then after that I will be copying this line, and I will put one more radio. Keep the name same so that they will fall to the same group, and here just change the another value such as say 2, and here say female, like that. And then after this, here you have to put the value that you want to appear here. So like that it have created the radio buttons. After creating radio buttons, we will insert some more controls like submit button, reset button, list. So let me put first of all button, submit button. So input type is equal to submit. So this is a special type of the button called as input type is equal to submit. So name of the button that I want to give name to the control such as save entry. If I am giving name save entry, ID is equal to say save entry, and then value that I want to appear on the button. So value enroll me. So enroll me will appear, and then here close the submit button. And here one another special type of the button input type is equal to reset. Input type is equal to reset and close here. Okay, everyone have understood how do we have put here some controls on the form, such as we put label, we put input type is equal to text, we put one text area, we put a radio button, and then we put submit button, reset button. Okay, everyone understood up to this? Now I will run this on a browser. So let us see the output. See here. The output is that we have inserted here one text box. So enter your name, enter your postal address, select your gender. So if you select female, then male will not be selected. But if you select male, then female will be get deselected. And here are two buttons, enroll me and reset. Everyone is able to see the browser's window output?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
if suppose say if I input here some name, say XYZ, so then I click on enroll me button, which is a submit type button. What happens? Just see. I have clicked here on enroll me. So what happens if you are able to see this URL? Then see here after this page add entry.php. What is this add entry.php? That I have specified in the action field of the form. If you can recall that in the action field, I have given name of the script such as add entry.php. So that program is get called. And after that, there is a question mark. And after question mark, you can find here some key value pairs. So full name is equal to XYZ. Then here ampersand, the next field address is equal to this, and like that radio button. So key value pairs are separated by ampersand over here. So due to method is equal to get, you can see over here these particular key value pairs. But if I give, for example, suppose if I give here method is equal to post. So I put here method is equal to post. I will save here the code and I will run once again, suppose in Firefox. Here, once again that form is get loaded, and here if I put suppose once again some name, say ABC, and if I click on enroll, you can see add entry.php. I do not have question mark and followed by that key value pairs. So due to post method, that key value pairs are not shown in the address bar of the URL. This is the difference between method get and method post. This is very much important to understand from the point of view of programming. The difference between get method and the difference between post method is important to understand. So difference is that when we are making use of get method, followed by the name of the script, we have a question mark, and followed by that we have a key value pairs which are separated by ampersand. But when we have post method, those are hidden from us. So for security purpose, post method is good so that no one can hack from the address bar. Hackers generally keep track on the address bars of the users, and from that address bars of the users, they try to understand that what sort of the information is get transferred by browser to the servers. And by learning that particular information, they can hack you. So for security purposes, post method is most one which is mostly get used. So this is the difference between that. So are you understood the difference between method get and post? Anyone can give answer?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
The difference between get and post method you have understood. And then after that, see in the output, you can see how do the controls are get appeared. Here, if you see, this is the text box. Here you can see this is the text area, which is of 4 lines and the 50 columns. So you can put over here the address, and then here we have put the radio buttons, female and male. And now what is the use of the reset button? See, something if I type here, and if I click on reset button, what happens? Whatever the text that I have inserted, if suppose I insert here something, here I insert something, if I select here female, and then after that I feel that whatever the information that I have filled on the form is wrong, and I want to clear the complete form. So I push on the button reset, and that will reset my everything that I have set to some values. So this is what the use of reset button. So we have just learned these basic controls that you can put. Now at the place of this type, if you wish to put image as a button, so on several pages you might have seen some attractive buttons that are put over there. So what I will do, input type is equal to image, and then here when we have input type is equal to image, this value attribute should not be there, but we have to put src as the attribute. So src, suppose say b image dot say jpg. I have created one simple jpg file. In that one button I have just put by using the graphic editor. So src b image dot jpg. So if I just put it over here, so see the output, what just changes. See here, can you see there is a button submit, which is image now, which is not a normal submit button, but it is a special image. So what you can do, you can design a special image over here, and you can put it as a submit button. So this you can put over here as a button. So input type is equal to image, name is equal to 17, src you can give over here. And if suppose sometimes what happens, if suppose that image is not present over there in the folder due to some mistake, that is not possible to load the images to the browser. So at that time you want to specify some alternate text. So alt enroll on clicking. If suppose alt text I am giving here, such as enroll me on clicking. So at that time I should make some mistake in the image file. B image 1 is not available. So browser will not be able to render this B image 1. So therefore it will find some alternate text. And in the alternate text, what do I have specified? ALT is equal to enroll on clicking. So now see the output in the Firefox. See here, I have just put a wrong image path, and therefore the image is not get loaded. But here at that place, the alternate text is appearing, which is enroll on clicking, and it will work similar to the earlier one. So like that you can do it, and you can put the image over here. So just put the simple one which was earlier there, say submit, and then after that ALT I can remove, and that I can put here value is equal to say enroll me. So like that is the submit button. And now let us put the list over here. So I will be coding some more controls that we can insert over here in the form. So let me put a checkbox. Before moving to the list box, let me put some checkbox. So for example, the checkbox I want to put for the things such as say label for topics in which you have interest related to music. So select topics of interest, like that, and then label. And now here you put the checkbox. So input type is equal to checkbox. Give some name. So name, suppose interest, topic interest, and then here ID you can give suppose say once again T interest, and value to suppose you have interest in suppose say learning ragas. So ragas here, that close this, and then here that value, suppose say ragas, and then insert one more value, for example, and here at the place of ragas, suppose say topic of interest say classical songs, and here suppose say here value will be classical songs, and then enter. I suppose another value here, suppose modern music, and here the value will be say modern music. So like that, in the checkbox we have inserted. Keep the name same, T interest. So they will belong, all these values will belong to one checkbox. If you change this, that will create the another checkbox. And here just break the row. After every control, just break the row, so that you can see that every control on the new line. And now just run this code here. See, if you will see, select topics of interest, ragas, classical music, modern music. All the three I can select. Difference between radio button and checkboxes is that in the radio button, you are selecting one button, the other will be deselect. If I select male, I can select female. If I select female, I cannot select male. But in these boxes, I can select multiples. If I have suppose interest in ragas, I can select ragas. If suppose I do not have interest in classical songs, I will deselect it. If I have interest in music, I can select it. So like that, either I can select all, or I can select one, or I can select two. So like that, there is a difference between radio buttons and the checkboxes. And then after this use of checkbox control, let me demonstrate you the another control, which is the drop down list. Just put a drop down list. So I will put a label for drop down list. So label for example, suppose city. I am asking you to enter your city. So select your city. Just close the label over here. So here now label has been given to the select your city, and then here we will put the control. So to put drop down list, you have to make use of the element called as select. So select is the name of the element. So select name is equal to say city. Name is equal to city. I can give ID is equal to city this way, and then after that I can put the options to this select. So such as option value is equal to say JL for Jalgaon, and here how do it will appear? It will appear like this, Jalgaon, and then close option. close here option. So like that, multiple options you can put over here. So this is one city option, another city, say NK. So NK means Nasik. So here I will put Nasik. Okay, then here option, complete this option. So like that. Now I can insert some more values. So here option, suppose say DH. So say Dhule for that. Okay. Again, I can put one another, say PU. So PU for say Pune. And then here, suppose I will add one more, say MUM. So here, say Mumbai. Again, suppose I will add one more, say BR. So BR will be for Baroda. So I will put here Baroda. Suppose I want to insert one more. So that will be, suppose say GN. So that will be, say Gandhinagar. Okay. So these much values, suppose I have inserted. And then after that, you just close the select. Element select. You close it. So this will complete that drop down list. Now, how do this drop down list will appear on the browser window? Here we have inserted drop down list by using the name of the element select. So select name is equal to CT, ID is equal to CT, and some options we have inserted in the list box such as say Jalgaon, Nasik, Dhule, Pune, Mumbai, Baroda, Gandhinagar. And now just launch it in the Firefox. So if you will see it, we have launched it. Just me put here after that BR so that you will see it, the buttons on the separate one. So see here, select your city. So we have filled the options Jalgaon, then Nasik, then Dhule, then Pune, Mumbai, Baroda, Gandhinagar. These particular options. If I want to select say Baroda, I can select Baroda. If I want to select say Pune, I can select Pune. So like that, list box can be inserted in the form. Okay. Do you understand how to insert a drop down list as a control in the form? Anybody can answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see the output? Are you able to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, I will tell you one more feature of this. Now, if you will see this name of the cities, the Jalgaon, Nasik, Dhule, Pune, Mumbai are belonging to the state Maharashtra, while Baroda, Gandhinagar belongs to the another state, say Gujarat. Okay. And now, so what I want to do, I want to make such a list in which grouping will be formed. Options grouping will be formed. So for that, what I can do, I can create here the option group. So for creating option group, make use of the element OPT group. So OPT group label, give label to OPT group Maharashtra. So MH. For that, I have given MH. And that all the options which are related to MH, I will put in that OPT group up to this, and I will close that OPT group over here. So close the OPT group. Get it? Once again, another OPT group I will create. So OPT group and give label to that. Give label to that as label is equal to Gujarat. Label is equal to Gujarat. Like that. And here close that star tag and close here the OPT. So OPT group. And here I can give complete so that it will appear. Okay. So like that, 2 option groups I have created. Like that, you can create multiple option groups. You can have option group for Maharashtra. You can have option group for Gujarat. You can have option group for another state, say Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, like that. You can have. And then after that, if you will launch this in the Firefox, you can see the difference. See here, Maharashtra label is coming, and all the centers or all the cities related in Maharashtra appear over here. All the cities appear in Gujarat are appeared over here. So like that, you can form the groupings of the options by putting or by using the OPT group in the form. So this way the option group can be inserted in the form. Everyone understood how do we have made the option groups? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Now see,
Yes, ma'am.
sometimes, okay, now sometimes see, what we want that while filling the form, I know that most of the students will select Jalgaon. So why I should not select it as a by default value? If someone want to change it, someone can change. But by default, if I want that Jalgaon should be selected or say Pune should be selected. So what I will do, I will put this option as a selected. I will put here the attribute called as selected. So this will be the default value. This selected attribute is a Boolean attribute. If I place it over here, the value for Pune will be true. But if I do not put this selected attribute over here, then that will not be the true one. So if I select it as a selected one, what appears over here? See, launch the output. See, Pune is appearing as a default value. Pune is appearing as a default value. And now if I want to change, of course, I will be able to change. Suppose I want to choose Nasik, I can change it to Nasik. But by default, if I see, then it will come as a Pune over there. Okay. So this way the default value you can put. And this is not only the attribute that you can use with the list, but you can do it with this. If suppose say I want that by default, female should be selected. So here what I can do, I can put it here female and here you just put selected. So selected will be true for that. If suppose say modern music I want, by default it should be selected. If you want to deselect, you can do it. But if I wish that modern music should be by default selected, so I will put there selected, and when I launch it in the browser, see you can find, let me save it once again. Modern music selected, then run it in the Firefox. Okay, so sorry, just change this checkbox, not selected, but it is checked. Means it is checked. Checked means it is selected. So for radio button, the value is checked, and for checkbox also, the value for that Boolean is checked. So at the place of selected, put checked. So just put checked. For checkbox and for radio box, it is checked. Save it and run it in the Firefox. See, female is by default get selected, modern music is by default get selected, and here Pune is selected. So for gender, female is checked rather than selected, say checked, and modern music is checked. You can deselect it. If I don't want, then I can select the other. If I don't want female, I can select it female, like that. Means you can change it. But by default, when the form appears before us, that default values appear like this. If I know that most of the users are going to choose these values, if I know it, so I can do for that purpose, so that user will take less time while filling the form. So that can be done. So like that, we can make use of this particular attributes which are supported by the radio buttons and by the checkboxes. Okay. Then I will demo you one more attribute that you can use with the input type, say text here, full name. See, by default, you can see this is the size of the text box. I can change, suppose say size is equal to, say, if I put size is equal to, say, 50. So for 50 characters, it will give the size. Now if I refresh it, see, size is increased. Size is increased. So this way, size is one of the attributes that you can use. Then again, if suppose I want to put the restriction, maximum length should be is equal to, suppose say, I will put only say 4. So max length is equal to 4. So that means what? I can only 4 characters that are allowed. So this type of the attribute normally we use while putting the password. So password's max length, we wish that it should be 4 characters or 6 characters like that. So here A, B, C, D. It is not allowing me to type the further characters. See, it has just allowed me to type the 4 characters only. So like that, these are what the attributes that we can use with the input type. At the place of this type, you can have input type is equal to text, you can have password, you can have submit, and like that you can have input type is equal to button. Here see, we have put the 2 buttons, submit and reset button. You can put simple button also, and for that input type is equal to button. You can put here button, and then here name is equal to say D1, ID is equal to say B1. Okay, and then after that what you can do, you can put some other things, that on click, suppose you want that on click something should happen, so that event also you can call over there. So you can put that things here, but I will not be inserting that now because we are not going to write any script. So value click on me, value suppose say click on me. This is the simple button that you can just design and close here. So if I will run it in the browser, see here, click on me, one new button is get added. But there is a difference between submit button and this simple button. Submit button by default calls a script which you have written in the action field, this add entry PHP. But this button will not call this. This is a simple button. You have to explicitly specify on click which script you want to call, that you have to specify. But the submit button is calling to that script that you have specified, the path of the script that you have specified in the action field of the form. So this way, but still it is possible to put multiple buttons by making use of input type is equal to button. So this way we can do it. Now after this, when you want to group the controls, see here the controls are there, some controls we have used, and if suppose we have put multiple controls on the form, and if you wish to group them, so how do you can group the controls on the form? So for that we have to make use of the elements called as field set and the legend elements. So you can have that particular grouping possible by using the field set and the legend element. So how do one can make use of this field set and the legend element, that we can see over here. So if suppose I will make here 2 groups like in the form, after this I will make here one group and then here create a legend. And to that say such as say personal information, and then here close the legend. So this is the one group about the personal information, and up to this suppose up to address, if I will say, or say up to gender, if I say it's a group, one group. So here close the field set. Close here field set. Another group creates in the same manner. So field set, design the another field set, and here you create legend. Say other information, and here close the legend. Close the legend, and here before say submit button, I will close that field set. Close the field set. Okay, we have created here 2 groups. One group is say personal information, about personal information, and another group is for say other information. So like that, two field sets we have created. Save this file and then see the output in the Firefox by launching. See here, two groups have been created. One is about personal information, another is other information. So like that, on the form you can create the groups. You can create the groups. I do not have added buttons in any group. I have put them separate. Okay, so like that you can add third more group, and like that you can just divide the forms into multiple groups, so that while filling the form someone can just see if it is a very complex form, it is better to divide it into the group, so that while filling the form user will feel something easy, one by one type of the group user can fill and then can shift to the other group. So like that, by using field set and the legend elements, you can group the controls. Everyone understood the use of field set and legend element? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. So up to this, we have put some controls on the form which are available in HTML4, but there are some new features which are added in HTML5. We have seen in the slides that in HTML5 some new controls are added for the better structuring, such as we have a control available for email address, for number, for date, for range. Along with that, some new attributes are also supported by HTML5, such as we have a placeholder, we have a required attribute like that. So I think that use of those controls we will start in the next lecture. Today we will stop here, and we can discuss some queries, of course, if you have, but the discussion we will stop here related to the waveforms 2.0. So if you have any query,